Keeper Michael Weir is out of the matchday squad. Clayton Taylor out with an injury after he was subbed at half-time in the Sydney defeat. Brisbane Roar, 2 changes. Jonas Markovski and also Louis Zavala into the starting 11. There are recalls for Scott Neville and Anthony Burke-Gilroy, while Thomas Waddingham, the young striker, takes his place amongst the subs. No spot in the matchday squad for the suspended Keegan Jelicic, Lethlean or Nikolovsky. A moment's silence will be held before we start this match for the late Stephen Labert, who died last week at 46 years of age. He spent a season at the Newcastle Jets in 2007-08, 15 Socceroos caps, and he also represented the Olyroos at the Sydney 2000 Olympics. Let's join with the players and fans in observing the moment's silence.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.
And that moment's silence observed. The Newcastle team did wear black armbands last Friday. This their first home game since that tragedy. It is a second A-League appearance and a first start for Nathan Grimaldi here tonight. The young centre-back, previously on the books of the Sydney FC Academy. He's 22 years of age. Before that, Marconi, Mount Druitt and Sydney United, and he spent the NPL winter with the Sutherland Sharks before Robbie Stanton ID'd him to come up the motorway. Speaking of starting debuts, Jonas Markovski is a name we've got used to in the A-League season so far. It's his 9th appearance, but after a couple of goals in consecutive games, the golden boot of the 2023 winter in NPL Victoria is elevated into the starters. Let's see what he can do. Rob Stanton here with his young charge, Nathan Grimaldi. You can see his win-loss record there. He'll be hoping that a win here can get back towards squaring that ledger up. 3 points are a must here for the Jets, given that they are just starting to lose touch with the top 6. Ben Kahn, only been in charge for a short time, and he had an interesting new addition to his coaching staff today. Ruben Zadkovic, the former Perth Glory manager, will spend the first half in the stands. Expect to see Ruben on the bench for the Brisbane Roar in the second half. Tonight's referee is the South Australian Daniel Cook. It's only his 3rd game, actually yet to take charge of a match in his home state. He's had a couple of games in Perth, including the Melbourne City versus Perth Glory game over in the West earlier in the campaign. He's got the whistle here tonight. So the Brisbane Roar huddling up. Tom Aldred leading the team talk. What is missing for the Roar? Conversion in front of goal, probably the main thing for them. Mark Natto will be one of the defenders trying to keep them out here tonight. Newcastle coming off the back of conceding 4 against Sydney FC. Ryan Scott left adrift by his defence at times in that one. No question over him keeping the gloves. Macklin Freak will be his counterpart at the opposite end of the pitch. So on a nice night in Newcastle, the shadows will creep across the pitch as the game continues, but at kick-off it's Newcastle attacking the left of your screens here. Isuzu Ute A-League Men's continues with Newcastle Jets against the Brisbane Roar, and Newcastle conceding possession to Tom Aldred immediately from kick-off as I welcome Phil Moss to the broadcast. Mossy, good evening.
Good evening, Teo. Looking forward to this one tonight, especially with these two teams having locked horns so recently as 9 days ago. Let's see what Newcastle learnt from that 3-2 loss.
As the various competing events of McDonald Jones Stadium means that the fixture just got squeezed a little and had these two meet in reasonably short order. Very different looking Newcastle team to Friday though, and perhaps understandable, although 4 changes to the starting 11, including this man Lucas Moragas, means that we can probably expect a very different looking Jets team, both in terms of how they play but also the formation too.
Yeah, that's right, and Robbie Stanton will be well aware that, you know, results have to start coming, and you need to tinker, keep doing the same thing and expecting a different outcome. You know what the definition of that is.
By Truan with the back pass here, and then it takes a ricochet that won't catch out Macklin Freak. So a minute gone and already just a slight moment of nerves for the Brisbane Raw defence, but all's well that ends well. Louis Zavala here, as we see picture in picture. A clearance that Macklin Freak, he'll be hoping that's a loosener.
That's right. A few early game nerves, but he's got that out of his system now. No harm done. We want his next touch to be a good one.
And at the other end of the pitch, Ryan Scott gets his first touch in goal. Mark Natter here. And you can see the Raw quite aggressive in the press. Natter looks to take the game on. Possession coughed up, though, Stamatolopoulos. The Raw through the middle. And the ball is cleared away from Jonas Markovski. It's quite a big frame. He'll be looking to throw himself around. You know that in tight spaces he's able to create room to either spin or flick or fire a shot, so watch out for him, especially in the 6-yard box. Throw in missed here by Coletti, and the door is ajar for a Jets counter. Daniel Steins. Moragas making the run, and Steins honours it here. He's cleaned up after playing the pass, and the referee's not going to wait for an advantage. He's going to bring it right back here and pay the free kick.
I think that's good refereeing from Daniel Cook. He did see and wait to see if there was an advantage. I think, as you can see, Moragas really is in a 1v2 situation, so there was no real advantage.
Checking at the offending player. Newcastle went backwards from the set piece, but now a diagonal ball will look for Steins again. The duel resumes against Tingett, this time with a bit of help from Nikola Milojevic. Lucas Moragas working with Daniel Steins. It's a natural left-footer Moragas, but he opts for Steins here, and he's going to try and weave through a host of Raw defenders. Teasing ball. Clears all and sundry in the penalty area. Zabala clearing on the opposite side.
There was some conjecture pre-game. Some ducks and drakes played with the Newcastle team sheet as to whether they'd play with a back five or a back four. It's definitely a back four. Carl Jenkinson on the right-hand side, Moragas on the left. Two centre halves of Grimaldi and Nutter.
Jenkinson's inclusion means a more advanced role for Daningham. We're yet to see that shake out. We've only had 3.5 minutes. Jets just trying to assert themselves on the contest. We're all looking for their midfield to spend some time on the ball, get established in the game. Right now, though, they're trapped down at left back with Zabala, and that is Daningham pressing from the front. Slightly recast up the pitch tonight. He's got Jenkinson behind him. It'll be interesting to see how that combination works. And there is Ruben. Ruben Zadkovic, of course, a Newcastle Jets player, manager at Perth Glory last season. His local club, the Broadmeadow Magic, is only just over the back of McDonald Jones Stadium, a short walk away. As the ball goes out, what do you make of the return of Ruben to the A-League men's circuit? Well,
Ruben's a passionate coach, a passionate football man, so it's good to see him back in the A-League. He'll bring different experience to Ben Kahn and the coaching staff, having now been in the hot seat. He understands what that's all about.
It's the nature of the game. Switch colours, switch allegiances, and on to the next role when the call comes.
Yeah, well, speaking to him briefly today, the call came very quickly. It all happened very quickly, but he jumped at the opportunity to work with another young coach. And as I said, bring that experience from his experiences now.
Could this be a worry here for Newcastle? Carl Jenkinson, who hasn't played a huge amount of game time this season, is favouring maybe a groin or an adductor muscle here. Didn't look like the most fearsome challenge, and he knows something is wrong as he goes to ground.
Yeah, that's not an impact injury. That looks like as soon as he stopped and propped to make the challenge, something in the groin area might have given way.
Daniel Wilmering started against Sydney FC, and it looks as though the call is coming for him already. So he's not quite a veteran, Carl Jenkinson. I mean, he is only 31, but sadly, his battles to get on the pitch this season, only 221 minutes of total play. as though they're going to curtail him already early in this one here tonight.
It's just there. You can see how he pulls up straight away.
To put those minutes in context, last season he played 1,900 and the season before at Melbourne City 1,700. So he had been a very reliable, ever-present figure in the A-League men since arriving from Europe. Foul here will allow Newcastle to escape their defensive half. Well, he's up and, well, they tried to jog a couple of steps and he's immediately told the trainers, no, it's not happening.
Yeah, you lose all power. It's a horrible feeling. Having done similar injuries in the past, particularly towards the end of your playing days. I'm not suggesting Cal Jenkinson is towards the end of his playing days, but that sort of injury was something that plagued me towards the end of mine.
It's doubly disappointing because his family had made their way out from England to watch him play. They were in the stands at Allianz Stadium on Friday and not even 10 minutes gone in this one. Jenkinson will be subbed out and on will come Daniel Wilmering for his 11th appearance of the season, the former Western Sydney Wanderer.
It looks as though that'll just cause a bit of a shift with Ingham going back to right back. Steins shifting over to the right-hand side and Wilmering coming onto that left-hand side. It looks like Robbie Stanton has deployed a 4-2-2-2, which won't be foreign to him, having spent time at Sydney FC.
The other change it forces is Moragas to go back into defence with Wilmering coming on. So spin the magnets, not even 8 minutes into the game after that early substitution, yet Newcastle ever so slightly shading general play, and they could get a whole lot more here. Attempted a backheel from Bruno Piscopo, not quite coming off, and then he commits a foul on Zavala almost immediately. Here's another look at backheel didn't quite come off and fouled him instantaneously after that. Long ball here and a little cry of frustration from Carlo Armiento as he was unable to chase down that long ball. What his left foot is capable of. There's Carl Jenkinson making his way behind the goal at the right of screen back to the Newcastle bench. Here's Natter. Ball deflects central. Oh, courageous from Piscopo, committed to the ball. And then the return pass wasn't forthcoming. Given his own history with injuries, Reno Piscopo to fly in for, you wouldn't call it a 50-50, it was a 40-60. It was brave. Here's Steins, and the ball will set up for Macklin Freak, even though there was a run from deep coming from Wilmering.
Well, there's a willingness from both sets of players. Just a lack of quality in the final third at the moment in these early stages.
Now the Raw can break through the right. Milo Uznic surveying his options in the middle. A driven cross, and it's going to fall for Carlo Armiento, and he knows that was a good chance on his left foot, blocked away by Ingham.
Yeah, wonderful defending. Dane Ingham threw himself in the line of the shot, put his body on the line, but that's some great lead-up play from Brisbane Raw. Milo Uznic. I will get it right in a moment. Milo Uznic whipping across to the back post area.
It's great involvement in the build-up play from Jonas Markovski as well, showing that he's not just a stay-at-home centre forward on that occasion. Encouragement for the Raw. Hingett looking for another probe down the right flank. The cutback is on. Natter diffuses the danger, and a belated whistle goes for a Newcastle restart. And there's Luke asking if that offside call was against him. Lance Greenshields is the assistant referee over on the near side. Steins. Jay O'Shea arguing the case, but it's a Newcastle throw taken quickly. O'Shea wins the ball back immediately, and in a flash they were nearly away, just sliding under the boot of Markovski.
He's so good with that, Jay O'Shea, isn't he? Turning defence into attack in the blink of an eye, spotting a killer pass. Just millimetres away from being brilliant.
Wilmering was given territory and took it. An enterprising run here from Wilmering. Steins. Oh, and it's set up for the tap-in. Stamatelopoulos didn't go. And he apologises to Daniel Steins as the chance goes begging.
That is a brilliant ball from Daniel Steins, and Stamatolopoulos, a player of his experience, should know you've just got to buy a ticket and be at that back post and believe the ball will find its way to you. That's a huge chance gone begging for Newcastle.
Open game, both teams getting joy down the wings at present. Raw looking to respond in kind. Milosnic. Now O'Shea. Newcastle stuck on the defensive for now. And then Moragas with the deflection. Jacking it takes a moment to inhale a nice deep breath and get things back underway for the Raw, who will let off at the other end will feel as though they have built into this game nicely. Markovski presents for the throw-in. He's ignored. And now obliged. Markovski rolling into the box, shooting on a tight angle. Decided to DIY, but it ends up rising over the bar.
Well, I'll tell you what, full marks to a young player, Markovski, for the turn and then the willingness to shoot and hit the target on that occasion. Look at that, that's a cute little turn. Really good technically. Here's the chance to Newcastle. Ball goes wide to Steins. Look at that. It's almost offside. It may well have been. And maybe that was going through the mind of Stamatolopoulos and why he pulled out of his run.
Nada. Wilmering, since coming on as a sub, he's maybe caught the Brisbane midfield out a little bit. Maybe they didn't prepare for. Steins. Jets keep making space. Raw midfield and defence now set behind the ball. Nada. Moragas. Again in the pocket, it's Wilmering. This time he gets the attention of Milosnic.
Yeah, you can see Wilmering and Daniel Steins both trying to get in those pockets just either side of Coletti and O'Shea.
Bending ball over to the left is a teasing one. Cross at the near post though, comfortably dealt with by Grimaldi. Lots of space for both teams to enjoy. Timmins distributing out to Moragas.
And that's the beauty of playing with the four midfielders in that 4-2-2-2 formation. You can get that 4v3 overload in midfield if you play it right.
Stamatolopoulos trying to get the better of Kai Trewin, who backs himself to bring the ball under his control. Pass though is a giveaway. Nada. This time intercepted. Markovski, Milosnic. Telegraphed the ball somewhat, allowing Grozos to come in and intercept. And now Piscopo with space in front of him. Just left the ball behind. The defence engaged. Piscopo, advantage given. Steins. Well, not the cross he was hoping for, but it will tail around and stay in. Wilmering can try to do something with it over in the corner. Up against Hingett. He knocks the ball away with a slight tackle.
Been good since coming on, Wilmering. He's certainly added something in midfield. And advanced inside number 10 role or double 10.
Moragas committed to the ball, but then wasn't able to chase down his header. A couple of nearly moments in the last few minutes for Newcastle.
Well, the first 15 minutes, as you said, Taya, it's had a good open feel to it, this game. Tuesday night football. Beautiful night for football in Newcastle.
Grimaldi gets the applause of the crowd as he slides in to win the ball away from Markovski. Hingett. Moragas. Stamatolopoulos protecting the ball, back to goal. Jets have found the open man over on the right flank in the form of Ingham. Moragas, series of deflections. Milosnic takes over for the Raw. Piscopo backtracking to try and make it awkward. And spills the ball to his teammate Natta. Nat Rozos. Piscopo knocked over.
It's worth just keeping an eye too on the starting positions of Moragas and Dane Ingham for Newcastle. When you play with those four midfielders, fullbacks are key in their starting positions to put the opposition fullback and wide midfielders in two minds.
Right on cue, Moragas receives the pass. Now he'll look to jag in. Nothing really going for him in the middle. Wilmering. Rozos switching back to the left once again. Hingett rises to the header. Wilmering. Piscopo. And he was body checked and will receive a free kick. Mid-range over on the left, Kai Truan giving away a set-piece opportunity.
That's good work from Piscopo. We know how sharp he is with the ball at his feet. Great movement, draws the foul, not for the first time this evening. For his side in what's a decent area.
Interestingly, instead of Reno Piscopo, it's going to be Costa Grozos who stands over this set piece. Can he get the delivery right and set up a serious challenge on the goal of Macklin Freak? Grozos' free kick, headed away by the first man in line.
That's disappointing delivery. You've got to beat the first man. The delivery from those areas.
Alex Parsons back helping out the defence. Here's Moragas. On into a 1-on-2. Cross is headed away. Only as far as Timmins. Wilmering. Piscopo. Piscopo hits the line and wins his team a corner. Just looking to hurry up the offense here. They can sense that they're on top and maybe closing in on the opening goal.
Yeah, just starting to turn the screws, tighten the screws a little bit, Newcastle. That was great work from Moragas, wasn't it? Standing his defender up and then whipping a ball into a really dangerous area.
Moragas has positioned himself some 10 metres from the top of the box here. So at the 20-minute mark, a corner kick for the Jets and taken short. Piscopo with Grozos for company, and as it sails out for a goal kick, it gives us the chance to throw down to ground level and say good evening to Ben Homer.
Hey Teo, hey Mossy. Yeah, it's been a big turnaround for Newcastle, not in terms of days, but in terms of trying to put away that Sydney, that 4-0 defeat. They said that they basically tried to park that pretty quickly. Really impressed, though, this Nathan Grimaldi at centre-back, as we see him just gesticulating with Daniel Cook over that decision. But they've been really impressed by him at training. He does extras every week. He's always doing extras on the sled. And Damir Pradanovic brought him in. He was the coach at Sutherland last season, and he was really impressed with his work after he brought him in, after he came off that contract with Sydney FC. And he's now the assistant with the Jets and brought him up. And Ben Kahn, his focus this week for Brisbane has really been trying to stop the counter-attacks. It's been a big issue for Brisbane lately. He just wants to shore them up defensively.
Thank you, Benny. As we see another foul here, this time on Ingham. It's a good point. Damir Pradanovic left the Sutherland Sharks mid-season to join the Newcastle Jets coaching staff, but clearly was very interested in making sure one of his players came with him. And Grimaldi, Sydney FC fans would have known he was standing next to Aaron Gerd in their NPL team 2 winters ago, and Gerd got his shot at Sydney FC. Grimaldi has had to fight his way back in elsewhere.
Yeah, that's right, and it's great to see him get this opportunity. There's plenty of players that come through A-League pathways, end up back in the NPL, and then make their way into the A-League, but it's also a continuation of Robbie Stanton's relationship with Sutherland Sharks. Of course, coached there in the NPL before moving to the A-League.
Here's a chance now for Wilmering after capitalising on a shallow clearance. Looks like a handball in the middle. Referee had a full view, bides his time and points to the spot. Reno Piscopo didn't hit it the way he would have liked, but the Newcastle Jets will still get a spot kick.
Yeah, it's the right decision at first glance. There it is. The hand is away from the body. The upper arm might be close to the body, but the hand was definitely away from the body. But it all comes about from a complete shank from Piscopo. It wasn't on target, but I can't imagine this will be overruled. I think Daniel Cook is spot on in his adjudication of that one.
Chris Griffiths-Jones is the VAR for this game. Reno Piscopo has gone and grabbed the ball. I'm sure he wouldn't have been happy with how he hit that shot. It was a good chance in its own right before sliding off his boot. Here's another look, Mossy.
Yeah, and you can see he's doing everything to try and get his arm next to his body, but when the ball hits his hand, it is away from the body. And if the VAR is there to stop the howler, I can't imagine that this is a howler.
Tom Aldred trying to do some lobbying. He's dragged Apostolos Stamatolopoulos with him. Everyone's having a say. Daniel Cook's just trying to talk through his earpiece here. Big moment, referee in only his 3rd senior game. He's refereed cup finals in South Australia. Very competitive NPL, so he's holding his own here. With plenty of players having their 2 cents.
I think those same Brisbane players would have a look of horror on their face if it was down the other end and wasn't given. So I think the right decision has been made.
Now, Reno Piscopo has got to wipe his memory of that shank and bury the spot kick. Macklin Freak has an opportunity here to keep this game scoreless. There's a look visually at Reno Piscopo's past 3 penalties. Safe to say, Mossy, he's got a spot he likes, the bottom left, and that's where Macklin Freak has done his homework. He might be inclined to go. Penalty kick for Reno Piscopo and the Jets. Is saved! Macklin Freak did his homework! And he comes up with a top stop to keep this game 0-0. And you can see what it means to the Raw defence.
Yeah, they're fired up, aren't they? And Piscopo's gone for power. I don't think he went for placement there. It certainly wasn't wide enough of Freak to cause him any problems had he went the right way. Look at this. It's the right height as well for Freak. He just had to pick the right way, and it's a reasonably comfortable save for a goalkeeper.
Hasn't kept a clean sheet since the 10th of December, Macklin Freak, and he's worked hard to get to the 25th minute here. There's still a corner that has to be dealt with. Into the near post and cleared away. Is that the Raw now? Off the hook. Newcastle all the way back to Ryan Scott, who hasn't had much to do in the last 10 minutes. Ball has been largely living down Newcastle's end, but they weren't able to get reward for it.
No, well, it's interesting because that spot kick from Piscopo was aiming for exactly the same spot as the red ball on the graphic that we showed, and it wasn't, and the 2 green ones were right in the corner. So if you don't get it wide enough, and you give the goalkeeper a chance to save it if he picks the right way.
You'd have to think over on the Brisbane bench, there would have been a few high fives for the match prep as well. You never want to give away a penalty, but you prepare for every scenario, don't you?
You certainly do, and you're right, the goalkeeping staff at Brisbane Roar would have done their homework on all the penalty takers. It's a big pat on the back for them.
Newcastle have immediately retaken control of possession, though. Can they make it a moot point? Headed away by Kai Trewin. That's the safety of the line again. Jets are really looking to ram home their advantage. Assistant referee is flagging, and it will be a free kick here, won by Daniel Steins. Tangle of legs with both Armiento and Zabala. Costa Grozos is headed over to take the free kick. He'll be within earshot of the Raw fans who have made their way to McDonald Jones Stadium, whether it's interstate travel or transplants living in New South Wales. Here comes the set piece. Header flicked on. The Stamatolopoulos caught a deflection, and it means it will be a corner. Stamatolopoulos trying for the glancing header. He's ended up with a mouthful of grass for his trouble. Let's take another look at the penalty.
There's a penalty again. Piscopo with not the strike he was looking for, but you look at that, that wasn't going to hit side netting. In any book, that gives the goalkeeper an opportunity. If they pick the right way, it's a reasonably comfortable save at that height.
It's his first career A-League men's save from a penalty. But his defending work is far from done. In-swinging corner. Through the box it goes off the head of Trewin. Wilmering. Piscopo. Legs. And Markovski is making the motion that he was dived over. Reno Piscopo clearly feels differently.
By my count, that's about the fourth time Piscopo's drawn a foul in the opening 25 minutes or so. And he just completely does Markovski there with his quick feet. Look at that, just a little drop of the shoulder, swerve of the hips. Markovski gets sucked in. A learning experience for a young player.
The contact wasn't ferocious. If anything, his evasiveness has protected him from actually getting hurt on that foul.
That's right. You can never claim that as a dive. He had to get out the way. Otherwise he could have ended up with a nasty ankle injury.
Set-piece barrage at the moment for the Jets. Penalties, corners, wide free kicks. Whipped in this time, and the opening goal is on the cards. Stamatolopoulos makes it 1-0 to Newcastle. And the penalty save is forgotten in short order as a 9th of the season for Apostolos Stamatolopoulos. Makes it Newcastle 1, Brisbane 0.
And his celebration tells the story. That's straight from the training park as we see the foul earned by Piscopo on the Harvey Norman replay. Grozos puts it into a great area. Stamatolopoulos with a fantastically timed run. Look at that, just gets ball side of his defender, and he knows he's just got to guide that into the back of the net. A wonderfully worked goal, and a credit to the Newcastle Jets set-piece coaching staff.
Well, it was just one dead ball too many, wasn't it, Mossy? The ball was living down at the Jets' end. And even in spite of the disappointment of not converting the penalty, Stamatolopoulos, who now goes clear second on the Golden Boot race, was eventually able to get Newcastle a bit of return on the amount of time that they'd been working over this Brisbane defence.
That's right, and there'd been some good deliveries, there'd been some poor deliveries to this point in the game from Newcastle, and their lot of free kicks and corners, but to spend hours and hours on the training pitch practicing that delivery and the timing of the runs. You could see Stamatolopoulos went straight to Grozos with a point of the finger to say, there it is, that's what we practiced them for.
Attempted through ball here will slide long, gives us a chance to go down in the aftermath of the goal to Ben Homer.
Yeah, thanks, Teo. I just heard Mossy pumping up the Jets set-piece coach. I can tell you that is their goalkeeping and assistant coach, Chris Bowling. He's taken over the reins of their set-pieces so far this season. I had to chat to him about that last week. He was really excited taking on that role because he was doing defensive set-pieces in the past, but this year he took on the attacking set-pieces, so big tick for Chris Bowling.
Thank you, Benny. Yes, Chris Bowling been at Newcastle for quite a while. He was previously a Matilda's goalkeeping coach briefly, amongst other roles that he's had in the game. Here's Steins. Tag on the ankle, incidental contact, and the Raw come away with possession, although Grimaldi is cutting off the angle here for Armiento. Let's see if the Raw have an instant response. Sparked to life by going behind. O'Shea cleverly into the path of Zabala. Ingham, fully committed challenge, and the ball is seen over the line for a Raw corner. Now a set piece of their own.
It's good defending from Ingham again. Don't forget he's had to readjust early in this game, back into the mindset of a right fullback rather than an advanced number 10 or winger. So far, he's slipped in seamlessly.
And in contrast to Newcastle's attacking set pieces, you can see how much more clustered and physical it is when the Raw have one of their own. Little feign on the corner kick means second run-up, in-swinging ball. Up and underheader away from Piscopo, sits up, and a big fresh air swing from Armiento. Not able to make contact, but the attack continues. Coletti sends it out to the left. Jay O'Shea. Now Zabala. Edge of the box, Mile Uznic. Coletti again. O'Shea in swinger. Well, the goalkeeper didn't collect much of the ball, but Newcastle through Moragas are able to escape on the left side of the box. Wilmering block tackled on halfway by Truan.
That's really good defending from Truan. He had to win that, and he had to be up in the attacker's face because Tom Aldred was caught forward. He'd stayed up for the second, third phase of that last set piece.
Raw enjoying a good spell in response to going behind, and they have another corner kick on the way here.
There's a delivery from Jay O'Shea. Look at that, Aldred just millimetres away from getting something on it, which would have no doubt guided it into the back of the Newcastle net. But I don't mind this set piece from Brisbane. You can see they're crowding Ryan Scott in the 6-yard box. I dare say it's to try and isolate Thomas Aldred one-on-one with young Grimaldi. As you can see just around the penalty spot there.
Corner taken short once again, opening up the angle. And the shot is flashing wide from Armiento. Ryan Scott not looking too concerned as he observed it beat the pack of players. Better look a little closer to the goalkeeper's perspective on that opportunity. Here's Mile Uznic, underhit pass, Steins sharked it for the Jets.
Well, 34 minutes in, Teo, we heard Ben Homer earlier from the sideline say that Rob Stanton was really keen to get that Sydney FC result and performance in the bin as quickly as possible, learn from it, but move on. I have to say the opening half an hour, Newcastle have been very good.
Got a question for you at the next break in play, Mossy, to do with the stats for the Brisbane Raw. We've said it's a very wide game. Wingers currently the dominant players. In fact, I'll ask you now, Alex Parsons so far has had 4 touches of the ball and 1 total pass. How do they get him into the game more? 35 minutes and a player has seen the ball just 4 times. I'll let you mull over that as Steins goes on the attack. Now Moragas. And Freak is up, punching away under the challenge of Stamatolopoulos. Zabala. The ball runs out for a throw.
Well, I guess the answer lays somewhere in the possession stats for a start. 56 or so percent to 43, 44%. So Brisbane having not a lion's share of possession, and also, it's also up to touches in the opposition half. There's only been 2 touches in the opposition box at this stage for Brisbane. Alex Parsons playing just in behind Jonas Markowski.
The pass here misses Wilmering. Raw able to clear. And Newcastle will head back to the halfway line. There is that passes in the opposition half stat. And final third entries, though. little bit closer. That spell from Brisbane a moment ago, balancing that stat right up, showing that they do have some teeth in attack. Aldred with a long clearance here. Grimaldi being challenged by the aforementioned Parsons. And Grimaldi's going to give away a throw here for the Raw. Or is he? No, foul given. Parsons tripped, and it seems as though a late call has come in to give him the foul.
We pleaded for the free kick here. Did Grimaldi. I think he convinced Daniel Cook that he was probably right.
So just under 10 minutes of regulation until half-time. Ryan Scott with a long ball. Piscopo's a lone hand. It's not exactly the stature of your traditional back-to-goal forward, and indeed he loses out to Tom Aldred in the wrestle here. And the Jets are backtracking as Hingard is away for the Raw. Now space in midfield for Coletti to look to create. Markovski closed down. Energetic challenge coming in from Piscopo. 3-on-3 if the Jets are quick enough. Piscopo went for glory and hooked whatever attempt that may have been at a long shot.
I'm sure he'd like his time back over there. Stamatolopoulos was less than impressed as well. He does really well there, Piscopo, to win the ball and set his team on the attack, but I think he just got a little bit too carried away with the situation. Stamatolopoulos making a good run off to the left.
It's not like Macklin Freak was a mile off his line either. We've had to be struck to absolute perfection. Chance goes begging, and the Raw will have a throw in right in front of their dugout here. Ben Kahn, see, standing in his technical area.
The other thing to look at as well, and probably give credit to, is Grozos and Timmins in the middle of the park for Newcastle. They've been very disciplined, and that certainly cuts the space off. You can see Parsons going looking for it, trying to get between the lines. The passing lanes are closed down very quickly.
Markovski. And a little nibble at the heels there from Grozos leads to conceding the free kick. Taken quickly for the Raw. And the through ball here. Chance for Markovski. Saved by Scott. It was a deft little touch, trying to get the better of the Newcastle keeper. And Ryan Scott was able to take the sting out of the shot.
Well, right on cue, Alex Parsons drops off the front line, collects the ball, faces forward, and picks out almost a delightful pass for Markovski, his strike partner.
Better signs for the Raw. Long shot here, explodes out from Mileusnic. They're starting to create a few more chances though.
Well, we thought Piscopo's was wild. That was in a league of all of its own for Mileusnic. Not saying we haven't seen him strike decently from distance. We have, of course. That one was bouncing and bobbling all over the shop, and that would have been an absolute worldie to find the back of the net behind Ryan Scott.
4 goals this season for Nikola Mileusnic against Sydney Wellington Wanderers, and then a second in the second head-to-head against Sydney FC. Ryan Scott taking his time here. Cleared by Natter. Aldred leans into the header. Zabala directing traffic. Picked out Ingham with the ball. Steins. Stamatolopoulos knew that he had Ingham through the right. Piscopo and Wilmering break through the middle. Ingham cuts it to Stamatolopoulos at the top of the box. Oh, and he hit that on the instep. It has bent out for a throw.
Well, remarkable, isn't it? A little bit of credit there for Tom Aldred. He stuck to the task too, as we see Newcastle break down the right-hand side. Dane Ingham, I'm not sure that was the right pass into the path of Stamatolopoulos. He had a 2v1 on the back post. Aldred doing just enough to put Stamatolopoulos off his game.
O'Shea to the advantage of Parsons. He continues to move forward, starting to imprint himself on the match as the first half winds towards its close. Coletti. O'Shea from distance. And on one bounce, it skims into the chest of Ryan Scott.
Well, we know O'Shea knows how to pick his spot from inside the box, outside the box. You don't want to be giving him too much space in those situations. In the end, a comfortable save for Ryan Scott.
You flagged earlier that Piscopo had been a bit of a foul magnet, Mossy, and once again that's the case here.
Yeah, we know he's a tricky customer on the ball, but he uses his body well there. Kai Truan had to use illegal means to win the ball.
Newcastle sideline having a word to the fourth official, Tim Danaskos, no doubt arguing that there needs to be more protection for their playmaker wearing the number 10 shirt. Brozos from deep. Aldred the initial header. Hingett watches it tail out. Newcastle throw. Wilmering to Moragas. Piscopo. And Brozos happy to concede ground. Steins. Ingham, a little burst. Steins looking for the return ball. Ingham continued his run. Stamatolopoulos. Whether it was a cross or a very tight angle shot, it ultimately slid out for a goal kick.
Yeah, I'm not sure it was either. And Moragas was free as a bird on the edge of the 18-yard box. Not sure if Stamatolopoulos was trying to be cute there and hit it with a little bit of reverse swing with the laces to catch Macklin freak out. But Moragas was in great space on the edge of the box. The Newcastle Jets captain found him.
Truan, long ball to Rawham, an equaliser in them before half-time. Wilmering keeps it away from Hingett with the Rawham possession now, deep in attack. O'Shea dispossessed. Piscopo building in confidence as he brings the ball under his control, and the backtracking O'Shea. No foul, eventually a foul, advantage given. Piscopo back on his feet. In the meantime, Timmins not able to keep possession. Final minute of regulation and the end of an entertaining first half, and the promise of more goals on the way.
Yeah, it has to be said, Piscopo's been at the heart of that entertainment from a Newcastle perspective. He's been very lively in his first half. Obviously missed the penalty, but in general play, he's pretty much been at the heart of most good things that Newcastle have done in that top third.
Tempo's just gone up ever so slightly as the players know there's one last burst before the break. Crunching challenge here from Markovski, and after we saw him get a talking to earlier in the half, he does become the first player to go into Daniel Cook's book here, and he gets a yellow card.
Yeah, and he did. There was a little bit of a lunge to that challenge, and from the blind side, the referee's always going to pull that one up. It's just whether it's worth a yellow card or not. I think it was a repeat offending that probably got him in the book.
Fourth official has signalled 4 additional minutes. The majority of that was the VAR check to give Newcastle a penalty, or uphold giving them a penalty earlier in the half. Confirmation of the yellow for Jonas Markovski. So still plenty of time to go before the break.
As we see this first half wind down, just a quick shout out to Newcastle for the pre-game tribute to Steve Labert. Played against Labes many times in the old NSL. Spent many a night out with him, celebrating, commiserating as well. He was a wonderful person, very, very sad and tragic circumstances left us way too soon.
Bit of loose distribution means that the Roar will have a throw in here. Feels like they've got a bit of a sniff here, a heightened sense of chance to try and rush Newcastle at the end of the first 45, and now body on the line stuff from Timmins there as he went in on Jay O'Shea.
Oh, they don't tickle. He's just got his timing wrong there, Timmins. He's seen the opportunity to go in hard. I think he's got that one wrong, Timmins. Nothing malicious in it. You see here, a little bit of stud showing from Jay O'Shea as well. I don't think he was aware that Timmins was coming. Referee Daniel Cook sees it otherwise.
Yellow card eventually issued. So a couple of Raw players go in the book in quick succession.
Well, I'm not sure I can agree with that one, because Jay O'Shea had eyes for the ball only. He wouldn't have seen Timmins coming from the blind side. In fact, his studs were raised. He was only looking for the ball. We'll see it again here. Gets it out of his feet. And he's got no idea that Timmins is coming. It's more about Timmins running into Jay O'Shea's studs than the other way around.
Well, does it surprise you then that Daniel Cook's been called over to the VAR screen to review it?
It does. And I hope this isn't going to end in a red card, because I'd have to disagree with this one. I know it looks ugly. On that angle, it looks ugly, of course, because Jay O'Shea's studs are above the boot of Timmins. But I don't think there's any intent here whatsoever on Jay O'Shea's part.
VAR, Chris Griffiths-Jones. Yellow card is wiped away, and the Roar will be incredulous. Their main man in midfield, Jay O'Shea, is shown a red card right on the stroke of half-time. And the Brisbane Roar can't believe it.
Well, I can't say that I'm shocked, but I don't agree with the decision. Just based on the lead-up to it and the angle from which Timmins came, I don't think Jay O'Shea had any idea that Timmins was charging in. He's got his head down, he's trying to get the ball under control. He finally gets it out of his feet, gets his head up. He has no eyes for Timmins whatsoever. And yes, his studs connect with Timmins above the boot, so I get that. But there was no eyes for the player whatsoever.
Big moment for the referee in just his third game. Daniel Cook, of course, the vastly experienced Chris Griffith-Jones, and also his assistant Kearney Robinson watching on from the VAR booth. Tom Aldred continues the dialogue. Ben can't. He can't believe it either. Nor can the rest of the Raw bench. But the decision's been made. We've gone beyond the allocated 4 minutes at the end of the first half.
Look, I can understand it from the point of view that Jay O'Shea's studs hit Timmins on the shin above the boot. But it's the context of the challenge and how it happened is where my argument would be against it being a red card.
To the best of my knowledge, in 467 senior games, Jay O'Shea had never been sent off. The only thing that might be missing is some potential League of Ireland stats or junior stats, but for his entire time in the English football system and the A-League, he'd never seen red. And Newcastle now have a goal and a man advantage, and half-time looming, and that presents an almighty challenge to the Brisbane Roar and a massive half-time team talk for Ben Cohen.
Yeah, and for Robbie Stanton, because he needs to make sure his team takes full advantage of this. This is an opportunity for them to maybe make a little bit of a statement win tonight, if they can capitalise on the numerical advantage in the second half. But how many times have we seen teams go down to 10 men and produce a backs-to-the-wall performance?
I mean, not to harp on it, but Jay O'Shea, 120 games in League Two for 13 yellows, never sent off. 189 games in League One for 9 yellows, never sent off. I mean, that is, for someone playing at that level of the game, as clean a record as you could ask for, especially playing in midfield.
Yeah, that's right. We know he's a clean and tidy and quality player in the A-League. Anyway, decision made.
Yep, and it's all about now finding a solution for the Brisbane Roar. We've gone 2 additional minutes beyond the allocated 4, and that will do. Lots of talking points. A penalty which was saved, a goal for Apostolos Stamatoulopoulos, his 9th of the campaign, and then a red card for the Brisbane Roar's Jay O'Shea. Newcastle looking to bounce back from a disappointing defeat, on track at present. Reno Piscopo has had a big say in just about all of it. And even though Macklin Freak came up with his first A-League penalty save, even though he kisses the post for good luck at half-time, the Roar will need more good fortune if they are to turn this around, because at half-time, it's Newcastle Jets 1, Brisbane Roar 0. Stay with us on Paramount Plus, because we have the half-time show coming up with Ben Homer.
The Socceroos continue their quest for Asian Cup glory in Qatar a little bit later on tonight, 9:50 tonight on Channel 10 and Paramount Plus. Do not miss Australia's clash with Uzbekistan. Hasn't Jackson Irvine been excellent? 2 goals in 2 games for the industrious midfielder. And if the Socceroos win tonight, they will go to the top and through as group winners. Welcome to the Hungry Jacks halftime show here in Newcastle, where it is the Jets, the home side, leading by a 1-0. And that first up, well, it had plenty of drama, didn't it? We had the penalty saved by Macklin Freak from Reno Piscopo. Apostolos Stamatoulopoulos made it 9 for the season, and then right on the stroke of halftime, massive controversy with Jay O'Shea sent off by referee Daniel Cook on VAR review. I'll be very interested to get the thoughts of Teo Pellissieri and Phil Moss when we have a look now at the Harvey Norman highlights.
Yes, thank you, Benny. Mossy, Harvey Norman highlights, let's roll them because there was so much to talk about.
Certainly was. The scoreline's only 1-0, but there's plenty of highlights, and there's the penalty. Piscopo gets his shot all wrong, and it strikes the arm of the defender. The top of the arm is tucked in, but it's the hand that's away from the body. And then Piscopo goes exactly where he's missed one of his 3 penalties so far this season. A good height and not too wide from Macklin Freak, who pulls off a good save, but in the end a comfortable save as well.
And then we see here the wide free kick, which was given away by Markovski. Piscopo drew 6 fouls in that first half, and that particular free kick from Costa Grozos led to the only goal so far.
And straight off the training pitch, they would have practiced that delivery, the timing of the run, how they free Stamatolopoulos to run into that area. He gets ball side of his defender, and he knows he doesn't have to get too much on it. He just needs to guide it at Macklin Freak's net. And here is the controversy over this red card to Jay O'Shea. I think it's completely accidental. I think a yellow card would be fair enough, but I think a red card is over the top. I can understand with studs on the shin of Timmins, I can understand how it looks ugly, but you've got to take the context into account, and I think that's purely accidental.
So a first red card of his A-League career, as far as we know, a first senior red card for Jay O'Shea, and he took it with good grace, having to leave the game before half-time. Let's take a look at the numbers. What do they tell us other than the scoreboard so far?
Well, even shots on goal, on target I should say, 2 apiece. Expected goals, you can see Newcastle's chances are much more advanced than Brisbane Roar's at 1.23 expected goals. But it'll be interesting to see how both teams come out in this second half. Obviously, numerical advantage in Newcastle's favour, with Jay O'Shea no longer on the pitch for Brisbane. But will it be a backs-to-the-wall performance from Brisbane, or will Newcastle capitalise on that and go ahead and record themselves a statement win?
So those are the team stats. Let's take a look at how the individuals are shaping up on the Paramount Plus Player Index. The goal scorer and assist giver are the top 2. Mossy, Apostolos Stamatolopoulos is the clear front-runner on the Paramount Plus Player Index at halftime.
Yeah, and obviously that goal certainly helps. I'm surprised not to see Piscopo up there. I think he's been very good in the first half. But aside from that, no real arguments with the Paramount Plus Player Index rankings after that first 45 minutes. But Stamatolopoulos, he's been busy. He's been leading by example. He's got his team the lead, of course. It's a good captain's knock from the first half.
And some of the individual stats for Apostolos Stamatolopoulos. He's been at the heart of everything, and including quite prominent in the build-up play there with 14 passes as well. Don't forget, after the second half tonight, a very short turnaround to the AFC Asian Cup, where the Socceroos take on Uzbekistan for a preview on the ground in Qatar. Let's go to Andy Harper and Simon Hill.
Well, the Socceroos have come through their first 2 tests at this Asian Cup unscathed. 6 points, 2 clean sheets. The game against Uzbekistan, Andy, is reckoned pre-tournament to be the most difficult of the 3 in the section. Do Uzbekistan come out and attack Australia, which of course is different to how Syria and India played, and if so, how do they deal with that?
Well, I mean, there's so much to look at this game. There's so many ways to cut it out. Firstly, you know, Australia through unscathed. I don't know, there's been a bit of a contentious feeling about the way the team's played, but I think that we've got to put that in context. When you see how the Korean Republic and Japan fared against Iraq and Jordan, all cut from very similar cloths to Syria. I think it actually speaks very well on how the Socceroos navigated that very difficult game. Also speaks a bit about Hector Cooper and his coaching tactics, perhaps. But it does put Australia in that enviable position of having the 2 wins. I'm sure Korea Republic and Japan would love that. So the Aussies are in a great spot. This is the game that everyone was looking at. Uzbekistan have come into this tournament with a huge reputation based on the success of consecutive youth team tournaments, and it consequently is a very, very young squad. Kusanov, for example, the player at Lons, is the vanguard of the future. Safayev, the most experienced defender, with a player in the team with 50-odd caps, and mostly skewing towards the youngsters. A lot of talent, a lot of young talent. It's a big game for Australia, if for no other reason than to prove that they can dispatch these teams as they need to. And I think they will. I'm very confident with the team. It's by nowhere near the finished article. I think everyone would agree with that. But they're making progress, which is what you have to do at this point.
Well, if Australia win, they will win all 3 group games at this Asian Cup. In fact, any Asian Cup for the first time in their history. And of course, that's what Australia wants, to finish top of the section. And then it's on to the knockout phase. Australia against Uzbekistan. Should be a cracker.
Thank you to Simon Hill and Andy Harper. We'll be watching later tonight. Mossy, the Socceroos, they're not conceding goals. We were doing the maths on who could be waiting in the knockout rounds. What are your broad thoughts and expectations going into Game 3?
Oh, look, knowing Graham Arnold, he'll want to top the group. He'll want to go through undefeated and build that confidence. I think they've been building well. Their performances are building. They're not perfected yet, but you don't want that in the early games in a tournament situation. You want to build that momentum and that form and confidence. But Mitchell Duke out, of course, as we know. I think the quicker we can get Riley McGree in there, and he's been managed well into the first 2 games by Arnie. I think the quicker we get him in there, the quicker we're going to start cutting open defences.
This has been the Hungry Jacks halftime show. Second half up next. Don't forget, FA Cup on Paramount Plus this weekend as Ange Postecoglou's Tottenham Hotspur take on Manchester City. Welcome back to live pictures from McDonald Jones Stadium. Apostolos Stamatoulopoulos, the only goal scorer so far. Newcastle Jets 1, leading Brisbane Roar 0. Halftime subs. Ail Majok, the 21-year-old, still looking for his first A-League goal. Comes on for just his 3rd appearance for the Brisbane Roar. And he made his way on for Jonas Markovski, who was booked in that first half. And for the first time since the 10th of December, we see Scott Neville in an A-League game. He has also been subbed on here at half-time for Carlo Armiento. Those two changes for 10-man Brisbane Roar after the red card to Jay O'Shea. Majock involved straight away from kickoff. And this would be quite the way to enliven the Roar at the start of the second half. Milewsnich jags it back. The shot's on for Parsons. Blocked away by Ingham. Not even 20 seconds gone. Phil Moss and Brisbane Roar showing us something new out of the gates at the start of the second 45.
Yeah, very good start. And it was Scott Neville's ball from the kickoff that set them on their way to Majock. So the two substitutes combining straight away to get Brisbane Roar on the front foot. Ben Kahn, the new Brisbane Roar manager, throwing caution to the wind at half-time with a double substitution.
It will be fascinating to see how this Raw midfield functions, given that Jay O'Shea really is the centrepiece of the entire team. You see their confirmation of those changes that went through, and the little red flag above Brisbane's name on the scoreboard, indicative of that red card. And so Newcastle, after losing 4-0 on Friday, looking for this to be their get-right game. Quick turnaround on the Tuesday. Team lineups appearing at the base of your screen at the moment as the Jets retain possession. Mark Natter, Daniel Wilmering, who was subbed on for the injured Carl Jenkinson only 7 minutes into the game.
As I said, Neville coming into the heart of defence. Kai Truan being pushed into midfield to play as a double holder. A little tweak from Ben Kahn.
What's the primary way you suspect Newcastle will look to exploit their man advantage? I mean, it was already a game. We'll stay with play here with Moragas. And Wilmering has lost the attention of Hingert illegally, according to the referee. It was already a game in the first half where both teams were happy to hug the wings and avoid the centre of the pitch. So you'd think that creating width would not really be an issue for the Jets, simply if they continue where they left off.
Yeah, that's right. Or it might be in that central area that they try and really exploit that numerical advantage in midfield with their four, the way they're setting up in a 4-2-2-2. It might just be the way through the pockets, penetrating the lines.
Majock, of course, to go and chase. Natter edged in front, Majock back in, and the throw-in will go Newcastle's way. Battle of 21-year-olds. Mark Natter standing at the centre of defence for Newcastle. Parsons trying to bring a bouncing ball under his control. Coletti cleverly. Now the shot's on for Zabala, and it just drifted off the boot. Initially promising at the moment of impact, but didn't quite have any sting.
No, that's right, but that's promising from Brisbane. They've come out on the front foot. They're asking questions straight away to give them confidence. And while it remains 1-0, they know they're only one strike away from getting themselves back into the game.
Majock chasing here. Grimaldi finds Ingham. Now Stynes. Loose pass from Grozos presents Brisbane the ball. Parsons, now Milewsnich. Milewsnich. Not quite the elevation he was after as it tumbles into the arms of Ryan Scott.
But again, another shot on target. A warning sign for Newcastle that Brisbane aren't going to go away. Ben Kahn's stuck to that two up front with Majock and Milewsnich, four at the back and a three-man midfield. He's trying to make sure that Brisbane keep the pressure on up high.
It's interestingly a forward line made in South Australia, Milewsnich and Majock. Representing the Raw here in Newcastle tonight. Now the attention turns to defence. Challenge comes in from Hingert to strip Moragas of the ball. This is where it'd normally be Jay O'Shea driving through midfield, but on this occasion, possession is yielded quickly. Stynes wants an option. Rob Stanton walking up and down his technical area, full of instruction. Timmins hurried into the pass here, but Natter is his outlet. Now Maragis to Wilmering. Shoved off the ball by Hingett. Throw-in goes the Raw's way. Hingett, Coletti. Early ball, a little bit too early for Milejuznic. Caught him out. The Raw will retrieve possession through Zabala. Milejuznic lays it back. Trewin. Parsons has made space over on the left. He drives across into Ingham. Corner kick coming up. And with the height of Neville and Majok coming on at half-time, Raw have got some targets to aim for.
Yeah, Parsons got himself into a good area there. Couldn't find the angle for the cross. With Dane Ingham doing his job defensively, making sure he kept his arms tucked in, although he was just outside his penalty box.
It's worth mentioning that Raw have won 4 of the last 5 head-to-head in the league. 5 of the last 6, including the Australia Cup last year. Swinging corner, Scott late to the punch, quite literally, but free kick was still given. Tom Aldred leaves the scene.
Something else Robbie Stanton will be really keen on, and know he's got a fantastic opportunity to achieve this tonight, is Newcastle have scored 2 goals per game in their last 8 home games and only won 2 out of those 8, with 3 draws and 3 losses. So defending this lead, I'm not saying sitting on this lead, but defending it and making sure they don't give it away will be a key focus.
Steins tried to solid contact from Zabala. Referee wasn't interested, and so Brisbane Raw get the throw. Parsons catches the deflection. Raw throw in once more. Ben Khan watching on. Flick on here is nice for Piscopo. Advancing into the box, Reno Piscopo on the tight angle, saved by Freak. He had Wilmering in the middle, but Reno Piscopo, on a night where he has pulled the strings for the Jets, was willing to have a go on the acute angle.
What a beautiful layoff from Captain Apostolos Stamatolopoulos to set him on his way, Piscopo. And then he does so well to stand up Scott Neville. Macklin Freak does his job, he stays big. And spreads himself beautifully at the feet of Piscopo to avert the danger. A wonderful opportunity for the home side to get that 2-0 advantage.
Miss hit pass here from Zabala. Best chance for either team in the second half so far. There is Ruben Zadkovic on the Brisbane Raw bench. Announced today as an assistant coach to Ben Khan. He spent the first half up in the stands. He's now joined Ben Khan, Frank Urich and others on that Raw sideline. Foul here on Piscopo, committed by Trewin. And he remains, just like the first half, a magnet to fouls.
I was about to say, rinse and repeat. Piscopo on the ground. Referee blows the whistle for a free kick. But he is such a tricky customer on the ball, Piscopo. He's got such quick feet.
Through the left now, Wilmering, tap in! Stamatolopoulos, double figures for the season! And is it going to be a perfect 10 for the Newcastle Jets as they attempt to get back on the winners list tonight? They are in the box seat, 2-0 up, opposition down to 10 men, and their leading marksman is now in a hat-trick after completing a double.
Well, the first goal was straight from the training pitch in the form of a set piece. The second one just the same, but a pattern of play. And it's Wilmering who slides the ball in the Harvey Norman replay into the path of Stamatolopoulos, and the captain says, "Thank you very much. There is our 2-goal advantage." You'd be a wise person not to bet against them holding on to this lead tonight with the numerical advantage. But a wonderful pattern of play, so simple down the left-hand side into the path of Wilmering. I think it was Maragis with the perfectly weighted pass, and then Wilmering finds his captain for a very, very simple goal. I'll tell you what, Ben Khan will be spitting chips because his side's produced such a good start to this second half. And then Newcastle with the sucker punch.
Apostolos Stamatolopoulos becomes the second player this Isuzu Ute A-League men's season into double figures He had 7 in 39 across his stints at Adelaide United, Western United, and last season at the Jets. Prior to this campaign, he now has 10 in 12. As we see a lusty challenge here from the starting debutant in Grimaldi, and he is Newcastle's first player into the book. And it's left a body of Parsons strewn in his wake.
It looks as though he may have collected a couple of studs from Parsons as well. Both players going down, clutching their ankles.
Confirmation of the booking for Nathan Grimaldi. Parsons is back on his feet, the sooner of the two, but now they're both back up, moving under their own steam, which is good news.
Good to see two young players throwing their bodies on the line. The hill just became a mountain for Brisbane Roar. Well, they get themselves back into this one now. Still got the likes of Henry Hoare, Tom Waddingham on the bench that could deliver something in that front half of the field.
Majock. You heard the cry of anguish as he went to ground, but the appeals for a penalty waved away. And now Newcastle are on the move. Stamatolopoulos body check. Moragas played through! Liquid football from the Jets as Lucas Moragas makes it 3-0 on a stinging counter-attack.
Oh, how good is the A-League? What a wonderful Newcastle Jets goal from the marauding left back in Lucas Moragas. He knew exactly what he was going to do with that, but credit to Apostolos Stamatolopoulos. The run from midfield. Mark Natter wins the ball at the back on the Harvey Norman replay. Plays it into midfield, and look at this from Stamatolopoulos. Beautiful turn, and then he drives at the Brisbane Roar defence. He knows exactly the ball he wants to play. He's taken out of it by Scott Neville, but the weighted pass into Moragas was absolutely perfect. And Moragas just had to pick his spot. One touch, second touch dispatch. Beautiful goal.
Here's another look at the vision of Stamatolopoulos. Knew exactly where his man was. He braced for contact, Mossy. He's still down, but I'm sure he won't mind too much because he played his part, giving off the assist. Lucas Moragas scores in the A-League for the first time since April 2022. It's his third career goal in game number 59.
Well, I've got a stat for you on Moragas as well, Teo. The man of many stats I am tonight. That is his 18th shot on target for first goal. He's second in the A-League competition for shots on goal, yet to score until tonight. So he now leaves Chris Economides from Melbourne Victory behind him. And that was a strike of not a left fullback. That was an accustomed striker.
Has he got a corky here, Stamatolopoulos? Here's Neville, who just body checked him on the way through.
So Neville's hip into the thigh area of Stamatolopoulos, but what a beautiful turn and run and killer pass from the Newcastle Jets captain. He has been everywhere tonight. 2 goals to his name, an assist, and a real captain's knock.
You won't want to come off either, because it's the 4th time in his career in the A-League that he's scored a double. He had 1 for Adelaide, and it's his 3rd this season alone for the Jets. He's yet to score a hat-trick, Mossy, so he definitely won't want to come off until he's absolutely certain he can't go. Raw are getting Anthony Burke-Gilroy and Henry Hoare ready to come on. And are these changes going to take place before kickoff? They are. Parsons is one of the men to make way. And also Coletti. So those two make their way to the bench. It's the first time we've seen Anthony Burke-Gilroy since the 10th of December. And Henry Hoare, it's the first time we've seen him since the 1st of December. On for just his 7th appearance of the season, and he was in great form too. He did have 3 in 6. So as far as tonight's game situation, 3-0 and down to 10 men, it is not great. But for what comes next, as the Ben Carn era puts the building blocks in place, you suspect that Henry Hoare will still be a pretty important part of that, and that starts with half an hour of football here tonight.
Yeah, you'd imagine so. He's a player that can turn games, Henry Hoare. There's not too many of them on the open market. I'm sure Ben Khan and Ruben Zadkovic will want to work with him. I'll tell you what, you talk about the knock to Stamatolopoulos and him wanting to stay on, but Newcastle host Wellington on Saturday. So he's not a player that you'd like to risk if there is a knock there, because we know Corkies can bleed.
Well, I see Archie Goodwin as he's just been given his last pat on the back from Rob Stanton, so I wonder if that's going to be his number up and he's going to be stuck on a hat-trick without a hat-trick for the 4th time in his A-League career. Another player getting ready in the background there is Brandon O'Neill, as the Jets ready a double change of their own. Ingham. Stamatolopoulos. Is this his final involvement in the game? He's going to press right up to Macklin Freak here. And gives himself up offside. Not wanting to be trapped. Freak's not going to let the ball roll out, so this double change will have to wait. O'Neill and Goodwin in the wings for the Newcastle Jets.
And with the result now seemingly in the bag, it wouldn't surprise me if it was Stamatolopoulos and Piscopo to be protected for the weekend game.
Grimaldi against Majok, concedes the corner. So we'll find out here if Robbie Stanton is the superstitious coach that refuses to make a substitution while defending a corner. Did you fall into that class, Mossy?
I don't know if you'd call it fall into that class. I was certainly a coach who refused to make substitutions at set pieces, yes.
So those two players will wait next to the 4th official as Newcastle defend a corner. Can Raw jag a goal back here? Henry Hoare trying to create. Sort of player who can make something happen. And as the ball is hooked away, Steins, lone gold shirt surrounded by Brisbane players. Zavala, Majok, not able to get the better of Ingham here. And a Newcastle throw no doubt prompt these substitutions. And indeed it is the number 8 of Apostolos Stamatolopoulos. So he leaves the game with his 9th and 10th goals of the A-League men's season. And he will get a warm ovation from the home fans. Daniel Steins is the other player who will make way. And as we look here at the goals, header in the first half, a neat little tap in the second, and he is now 3 behind Bruno Fornaroli, who is still away at the Asian Cup for a little while yet. Who knows? Bruno went away to the Asian Cup so far in front on the Golden Boot race, he could be in for quite the shock if he comes back and finds that he's been knocked off the perch. Reno Piscopo is the other player who makes way. Apologies, not Steins. Piscopo, who is subbed off. Goodwin, first involvement. He's challenged by Tommy Aldrin. Neville. Zavala. Henry Hoare. Hingett. And now the raw build. Mileuznich outside of the foot pass. Intercepted by Grimaldi.
Well, it's a wonderful substitution to be able to bring on a player like Brandon O'Neill at this stage of a game, leading 3-0 at home. His experience, his leadership will be critical if Newcastle are to keep this clean sheet.
Owning possession at the moment. Of course, they've had a man advantage since first half stoppage time. Moragas making width here. Underlapping run from Wilmering. Behind Archie Goodwin, though. Cleared away by Kai Truan. Here's the 19-year-old striker, Archie Goodwin. Newcastle's record home win against Brisbane Roar head-to-head is 4-0. They've done it twice, including in somewhat recent memory, January 2023. Archie Goodwin actually scored the 4th goal after Sotirio Bahadur and Mikkel Tadze had given the Jets an unassailable advantage.
Well, so far so good for Newcastle. It's really good on the scoreboard. Numerical advantage, bouncing back. We've still got to finish the job, of course. Bouncing back from that result on the weekend against Sydney FC, where they were completely outplayed and outscored. Stanton's obviously done a great job wiping that from the brains of the players, getting them up for tonight's game.
Roar on the move. Milosnic, a quick 1-2 with Henry Hoare. Challenge, though, came in from Grozos. And Grozos consolidates possession. Moragas. It's worth noting that Newcastle's goal difference has improved to -4. They would look up the table and see everyone in the top 6 is either level or better. So they are going to need a run of wins or an unbeaten run in order to close that gap to the top 6. Tonight is game number 14 of the season for them. Sydney in 6th have played a game less and are still 2 points ahead of them on 18. Here's Ingham getting the better of Zavala. Archie Goodwin moving in the middle, but the ball goes wide to the right. Steins denied possession by Zavala. Backtracking in earnest. Goodwin brings the ball down to his control, but he's got defenders for company. Breaks back towards the corner. And it will be Brisbane Roar possession. Ingham. The ball is headed out by Timmins. Safe to say that in the aftermath of that Moragas goal, a bit of a lull has fallen over things. There's the table, as we mentioned before. Newcastle improving their goal difference, having pegged back 3 of the 4 that they conceded against Sydney on Friday. And this would just bootstrap themselves back onto the finals discussion as well. Though when you get results like Perth beating Western Sydney at the weekend, it's safe to say that they have a run of home games coming up. It's still launch a challenge. Top 6 making finals means that your season stays alive for quite a while. Here's Truitt, and now Majok attempting the slide rule ball, and coming out of his line to slide in. Physical stuff at the feet of Burke Gilroy was Ryan Scott. Anthony Burke Gilroy's a little worse for wear after taking that collision.
Yeah, it was almost really well weighted by Majok, and you can see Scott just puts his body on the line. Maybe just that's the way Burke Gilroy comes down on his hip. It's a little bit awkward. But that's good from Brisbane. They can't go away. They can't shy away from this fight.
Aldred wins the aerial duel. First to respond is Truin, now Zabala. Of course, plenty of time still to go in this one, 20 minutes plus stoppage. Brisbane Roar away to the Central Coast Mariners on Saturday. Jay O'Shea will be suspended for that one. Henry Hoare driving over to the right flank where there's plenty of space for Hingett. The ball to the edge of the box is picked off by Natter. Trevison's getting subbed on. He hasn't treated this game like it's a 3-0. He's still trying to work, trying to get the minutes back in his legs.
Well, he's also in one of those positions where he's got to come on and have an impact. He's not there to shore up the midfield or the defence. He's there to have an impact and create something, give his side a spark. Might just get them back on the scoreboard and give them some belief that it's not over.
Here he is now, combining with Majok. And Ayon Majok got a tight angle. Jags inside! It's a first A-League goal for Ayon Majok! And in the context of the game, with 20 minutes to go, there is a ray of hope for the Brisbane Roar off the back of this first-time A-League goal scorer.
What a fantastic goal by Ayon Majok. I'm sure Mark Natter won't want to see that back again, as I think he can do a lot better defensively on the Harvey Norman replay. He just sells himself there, and Majok just turns him inside and then unleashes with his left foot to find the far bottom corner. Look at that. I think Natter's more concerned with keeping his hands by his side and not winning the ball, or at least making himself big, but he sells himself way too easily there, and Majok takes full advantage.
South Sudanese born, Adelaide raised, had the briefest of spells at Western United, able to build his numbers up at Adelaide City and get that second crack at the A-League with the Brisbane Roar. And now he has his first goal in just his 7th appearance, the 21-year-old. And everyone in Adelaide knows how good this guy is, and absolutely no one who's watched him play at Adelaide City will be surprised that even in a situation like this, 3-0 down to 10 men, he can find the back of the net. And maybe the Roar are just starting to get a sniff. What a chance for Anthony Burke-Gilroy and Newcastle. If they had switched off, they need to find the on switch and quick.
They do, absolutely. First of all, they've given away their clean sheet. Second of all, they've given away another chance in the space of a couple of minutes from Brisbane's opening goal.
And now another chance again. Henry Hall prodding it through. Mile Uznic! Saved by Scott and then blocked away by Ingham. Well, the chances are coming.
Well, he can't believe he hasn't scored there, and neither can we from the commentary box. First of all, a wonderful save by Ryan Scott, and then Dane Ingham following up to do his job as a defender. Mile Uznic, he thought he was dead set favourite for the rebound. Somehow Newcastle defended the situation, but another warning shot fired right across the bow of Newcastle Jets.
Here's the resulting corner. Flicked on at the near post, and Grozos gets its way out of the box, but Burke-Gilroy consolidates for the Roar. And the offside flag is up. Air goes out of the balloon. Neville trapped over on that right flank.
Well, they've just lost their way, Newcastle, haven't they? Here's the chance. As the ball's just given away. Uznic is played in. There's the save, and then you thought for sure and certain, I think Ryan Scott's got a double touch on that. We'll see on this angle here. No, he doesn't. The ball just spins away from him. And then Dane Ingham gets back and does his job.
I mean, that's a point-blank save. Ryan Scott to the rescue.
Huge save.
10-man Roar, you wouldn't know it in the last 3 minutes. They have come to life. Their travelling fans have found their voice. You can see them there just over the shoulder, right down to the front row of the seats.
That is a huge save from Ryan Scott, because when you're playing against 10 men, you're 3-0 up. The 10 men get a goal back. If they got that second goal, the first one gives them a little bit of confidence, a little bit of oxygen. The second one would have given them complete belief, and then it would have been game on.
How long can they sustain this burst of energy for here, the Roar? A real show of character. Maybe the best signs in adversity of the Ben Kahn era so far. Aldrin. Majok, a neat string of passes, and diffused by Natter. He's able to dispossess Henry Hoare. And now as Timmins collapses to the ground, Zabala goes in the book for the foul.
And he's taken one for the team there, Zabala. I'm not sure he needed to. There's plenty of defenders back, prepared to do the job, in readiness to do the job. Whether he needed to get himself a yellow ticket or not, highly debatable.
The job goes slip sliding out of the way, but in the meantime, Newcastle feels like they're the other team in this scenario. It's been Brisbane Roar pressing them on the attack for the last couple of minutes. Now Newcastle trying to re-engage and really remind themselves that they've got a man advantage to exploit here.
Absolutely, and really, when you think about it, the second half, Brisbane started the more sprightly of the two sides, and Newcastle had that burst and went bang, bang. And then it's been Brisbane again.
You see there, the passes in opposition half, almost double. Quite skewed. Steins. And now the gaps appear. Neat 1-2 with Timmins. Goodwin makes a near post run. Steins hooked it to Burke-Gilroy. And now Zabala has Aldred for company, and he can drive away. Hingett from the right, intercepted by Moragas. See XG there. Not often you see it almost exactly to the number, but Newcastle 2.8 for 3 goals. Of course, you get 0.8 for a penalty, so that includes the penalty that was saved by Macklin Freak. Doesn't that feel like a long time ago?
It certainly does. It's been a fantastic game. It really has.
And there is still 13 minutes to go. Newcastle are just doing their best to move the ball and keep Brisbane Roar out of possession. Or conserving energy here. They're not exactly chasing shadows at the moment as Newcastle work the ball around. Moragas. Grimaldi. It's the better of Mileusnic, and now the centre-back is on a probing run. Moragas. He's got Hingett for company, and Hingett deflected the ball high. Both teams appealing. He didn't deflect the ball high. It was just a miss-hit cross. That is a goal kick.
It's good to see a young defender like Grimaldi have the confidence to run the ball into midfield. He didn't panic. He picked his pass, delayed his pass, waited for the right time to play it.
Gilroy had to lunge to collect the pass, but keeps the ball at Brisbane Roar feet. Mileusnic shut down by Timmins, who stripped him of the ball, and now Steins. Brandon O'Neill.
A little bit sloppy in possession, Newcastle.
Moragas with a channel. He doesn't want to burst down. He's happy to cut inside instead. Wilmering.
It's a fine line now, isn't it, really? 11 minutes plus injury time remaining. Whether you start to manage the game, which I dare say may invite some trouble if Newcastle don't go for the killer blow. I'd imagine that the fourth goal would be the killer blow. This is their chance to show a ruthless streak.
Steins on the end of an ambitious pass from O'Neill. Now Goodwin trying to roll towards the target. And Aldred timed his tackle nicely. He's clearly not happy with the midfield protection. referee is just whistling play dead here.
I don't think it was the midfield that Tom Aldred was having a go at. I think it might have been the assistant referee.
Yeah, I'm clearly mistaken in my assessment here.
I dare say there's not too many grey areas with Tom Aldred. You always know where you stand.
So, Newcastle throw. We tick into the final 10 minutes of regulation. If you've only recently joined us, the game is not as clear-cut as it seems. 2-goal buffer and a man advantage. A fourth might be the knockout punch. Ingham's cross deflected. Moragas has got one. It sits up. Timmins, oh, it's squeaked in for the fourth. If it counts, it looks like it won't. Flags up. No one's chasing the sun. Stop the music. It looks like it's going to stay 3-1. That's Greenshields raising his flag. The DJ's found out the goal doesn't stand.
Yeah, the offside is on this near side with Daniel Steins just being a little bit lazy getting back on side. He can see across the line, so there's no excuse for being offside there. And Timmins, I'm sure that wasn't the purchase he was looking for on the strike. He found the net, back of the net regardless. You can see the funny side to it.
You wonder, after that real burst from the Brisbane Roar that led to their goal and the great chance for Nikola Mileusnic to make it 3-2, have we seen their best? Will the tax of being down to 10 men since first half stoppage time begin to show itself in these final 10 minutes?
Yeah, that's right. That's a big question, but it goes back to that big save from Ryan Scott on Mileusnic. Had that found the back of the net, gee whiz, that would have made a game of it, wouldn't it?
O'Neill switching flanks over to Moragas. Timmins. Ingham sees Goodwin move in the middle, and he went for the Hollywood ball, not able to bend it back. Steins sensing the opportunity to press Aldred, but he hurries the pass and finds Anthony Burke-Gilroy. Now Mileusnic. Zabala sees the run of Majok. He's a lone hand up top at the moment. Majok jags inside and catches a deflection as he wins a corner.
Oh, he's an excitement machine, isn't he, Majok? You can see exactly what he was trying to do then. Look at the acceleration off the mark to leave Dane Ingham in his wake. Dane Ingham does very well to get back and get something on the shot to deflect it to safety. Majok has made a huge difference to Brisbane off the bench.
Henry Hoare on corner taking duty. Outswinging corner, Goodwin heads it away. Only as far as Hingett. Burke-Gilroy Wilmering out to try to close down Henry Hoare. And now Zabala, well, he's on his own. Can he find the right pass? Zabala, and the header was on. Mileusnic just a little up and under into the waiting gloves of Ryan Scott.
He had to generate all his own power there, Mileusnic. Zabala just lifts it into that back post area. Mileusnic arching, reaching backwards. He's never going to trouble Ryan Scott from that angle.
Passing channel blocked here for Ingham. Ball tumbling down to Archie Goodwin. Engaging in a wrestle with Neville. Zabala. O'Neill able to win the ball. Timmins now in a dangerous area. Manufactures a shot, but it was blocked. Now Zabala, Mileusnic, Henry Hoare. Neville. Game number 295 in the A-League tonight for Scott Neville. He's closing in on a significant milestone, the 35-year-old. Hall looking now for Majok. Majok stands up Natta, and then a tumbling deflected attempt. And it's going to be a Brisbane Roar throw. He's yet to start an A-League game, Ail Majok, either Western United or the Brisbane Roar. Shows us what he can do here tonight.
Yeah, well, he's certainly putting his hand up for a start if he can build some consistent performances like this, 45 minutes by the end of this game. He's had a real impact.
Henry Hall once again. From a standing start. Appeals for offside, but play continues. Zavala. And into the face of Grimaldi. And yeah, Grimaldi perhaps entitled to go to ground with what is classified as a head injury.
There's nothing worse than copping one in the face. It's compounded by the fact that it was offside.
Saying my eye is the issue here. Here's another look.
Well, you can't accuse him of taking his eye off the ball. Certainly stuck to his defensive responsibility. He's been good tonight, Grimaldi. You can be very proud of his performance at the heart of defence.
Paramount Plus Player Index, 99 for Apostolos Stamatolopoulos. And Majok and Henry Hall, two second-half subs for the Roar, have managed to find their way into consideration. We will revisit it in post-game. The Paramount Plus Player Index. Here's Steins. Oh, nearly finding Goodwin. Intercepted by Aldred. Block tackle coming through from Brozos. Deflects down to Hingett.
Still no room on that list for Piscopo. I thought his performance tonight was good enough to get him on that list.
There is Apostolos Stamatolopoulos. And if the Socceroos go all the way at the Asian Cup, there is a very reasonable chance that Bruno Fornaroli will not be top of the Golden Boot when he gets back. Stamatolopoulos is now 3 away from tying, 4 away from overtaking.
Almost like you're wishing.
I just like seeing a lot of goals. Doesn't matter who scores them. Just want to be entertained, and Stamatolopoulos has been a guarantee of that this season.
Yeah, he has. He's been very good. And I'll tell you what, when you're coming off a result and performance like the weekend, you look for your leaders to stand up, really roll their sleeves up and lead by example. Stamatolopoulos tonight, for me, that was a wonderful captain's knock.
Natta finds the safety of the touchline. That might prompt a triple substitution, 2 for the Jets, 1 for the Roar. And for the first time since the 3rd of December, Jason Bertomier, the 34-year-old, is going to make an appearance. 2 minutes plus stoppage time for the 34-year-old veteran Frenchman. Nikola Mileuzic's number is up. Young Tom Waddingham comes on. And the other change will be Trent Bahaja, who was moved to the bench tonight. Has 2 career goals against the Brisbane Roar, so maybe he'll fancy his chances on the counter here in stoppage time. He'll come on for Daniel Steins. But, watch the space on Bertomier, who's been out for quite a while, hasn't really made the impact he was hoping for since coming to Australia. And congratulations for Steins as he finds his way to the bench. So, changes for both teams take us to the final minute of regulation. Wilmering. And it will be Brisbane Roar ball. I did mention earlier that the Roar have got Central Coast away on Saturday. Newcastle's next assignment is a home game back here at McDonald Jones, 6 p.m. on Saturday against the Wellington Phoenix. And I'm sure Wellington would be very interested onlookers tonight, given that they are the top team on the table as things stand. Mariners, one of the form teams in the league as things stand.
Yeah, that's right. Giancarlo Italiano doing a wonderful job with Wellington this season. Gripping top of the table clash last weekend. On a draw with Melbourne Victory.
How many minutes of stoppage remain in this one? 5. Tick into those 5 additional minutes with Raw holding possession. Henry Hawk. Truant. Aldred. Now Zabala. Waddingham, first involvement for the sub. Through comes Bahaja, and he wins a foul for his trouble.
That would have been an interesting foot race had he been able to hold his feet there, Trent Bahaja. They've fully deserved this win tonight, Newcastle. I hope I'm not putting the cart before the horse there with still 4 minutes of injury time to go, but they've worked hard for it. They've given Brisbane some opportunities. Brisbane have earned some opportunities as well. Ultimately, they still haven't been able to keep that clean sheet at home.
And you did flag earlier, Mossy, that they're on a long streak of scoring at least 2 at home as well, and they've managed to return 3 tonight.
Yeah, that's right. Well, it was 8 games before tonight where they've scored 2 goals per game, drawn 3, lost 3. Had another game to that tonight with 3 goals, and there's a win to their name as well. So there's a lot of positives to take out of it for Rob Stanton, particularly the bounce back from the weekend. That was really important.
Fascinated to hear the perspective of both coaches, what their takeaways are for this, because Newcastle might be able to polish the scoreboard with another goal right here at the end of the night. Wilmering blocked away by Hingett. And the return of Henry Hawke, first time we've seen him since the 1st of December. That's got to be one of the positives for the Brisbane Roar to take out of this one, that he hasn't played in 7 weeks, and he's really come back without missing a beat.
Yeah, and I think the other one is obviously being down to 10 men for more than 45 minutes and getting a goal back, and really, all bar a fantastic save from Ryan Scott, they could have had 2 back and been right back in the game with 10 men. So some positives for Ben Khan as well.
Midjock, exactly the player Raw want to go and just battle and see what's possible with time the enemy. Waddingham, defending from the front, he's conceded a foul in the end. Ingham, the man he knocked over.
I think he played for this well. Dane Ingham just trying to take the sting out of the game completely now. Just land on his shoulder awkwardly there. He grabs his left shoulder. To his feet, looks okay.
So former Brisbane Roar player Dane Ingham, 110th career appearance tonight.
Been good entertainment value tonight, Teo. Tuesday night football up in the Hunter.
I have to agree with you. There's been so many incidents, so much to talk about. It's been just jam-packed. The approach of both teams has lent itself to lots of attacking chances. Ingham, jets far from done. Bahaja, and denied was Goodwin by the lunge of Aldred. Takes us into the final minute of the allocated 5.
He's done well there, Aldred, but you can't help but think Archie Goodwin's made his run too early. He's outside the near post when the ball's delivered. Needs to hold his run, maybe. Use his body to shield the space.
Corner concedes a significant amount of ground. Grozos not interested in a long shot. That's the corner taker, but Sommier. 30 seconds to go. I wonder if Newcastle had put the cue in the rack here. Maybe one last forward thrust. Moragas scored his first goal of the season here tonight. Wilmering. And as stoppage time expires, that'll do it. Newcastle return to the winners list. Bootstrap themselves back to the top 6 conversation. And on a night where their leading marksman moved into double figures and one of their young guns put them in a 3-0 advantage, Brisbane Roar did not let them have it easy. Ayon Majok, 21-year-old, scoring his first A-League goal to make it interesting. And they were agonisingly close to 3-2. But ultimately, it's Newcastle who win. And even though Macklin Freak saved his first penalty in the A-League, it was Ryan Scott and his point-blank save, which was the last major talking point out of this one. Jets on the winners list for the 4th time in the season. And back to within 2 points of 6th place as things currently stand on the ladder. Handshakes at full time. Newcastle salute at home. They are full of goals this season and they continue to entertain. Roar back to the drawing board. Full time, Newcastle Jets 3, Brisbane Roar 1. And let's go down to the aftermath. Ben Homer is with us.
Thanks, Tao. Yes, I've got Nathan Grimaldi after his first start in the Isuzu Ute A-League. Nathan, it's pretty easy, isn't it, playing in this competition? 1 start, 1 win?
No, it's not easy. I've had to work hard to get here. I want to thank Rob D for having the trust, for also just bringing me in to the starting lineup and bringing me back a couple of months ago when I came from the NPL. It's been unreal. Thanks.
Can you just tell us the advice that Demir, who was your coach at Sutherland, gave you leading into this game? Because obviously it is a step up to that next level.
Yeah, just touching up on the basics, you know. Just being aware, always being awake, stepping up, just little things. But mainly just getting my head right. They told me a couple of days ago, so that definitely helped. And leading up to it a couple of weeks ago, he's been putting me as 19th man, getting used to the situation. But yeah, Rob and D have been awesome to me, very communicative, and I just want to thank them immensely.
Just on the performance, a 3-1 win, 3-0 up, but there was a period there where Brisbane had some domination with 10 men. What is your reflection on that?
I'm happy with the way the boys dug in because obviously the past couple of weeks we've been leading our half-time, stats say that, and then we kind of fade off in the second half. So the half-time message was to stay on your game, and I thought we did that pretty well up until they scored, and then we kind of got the game back. So I was just happy that we ended up grinding out the victory there. It was good.
Nathan, congratulations. Well done on your starting debut.
Thanks. Appreciate it, mate.
From one centre-back to another, we're going to bring in Tom Aldrin, the Brisbane captain. Tom, tough one tonight, but you've got to be proud of your side and the fight they showed, especially down to 10 men, down 3-0 in that second half.
Yeah, I thought second half were better than the first half with 11 men. More endeavour, more fight, more fighting for one another. So yeah, obviously there's a lot to take from that second half performance. Boys coming off the bench and showing what they can do. Yeah, for me, just did the basics better second half and actually fought.
Just a word on Ayon Majok, because A-League fans probably haven't seen a whole lot of him. He came off the bench, scored a goal. He was really electrifying.
Yeah, his attitude's been top drugs. He's not played a lot this season. He's always just got his head down. He's a threat in behind. He's quick. He's a nightmare to play against. He gets his goal tonight. Hopefully, it gives him confidence and he can kick on now.
And Tom, I've got to ask you on the moment of controversy in the first half, the red card to Jay O'Shea. Did you see it, and have you got a thought on it?
Yeah, it's just obviously it's grey areas with everything now, with handballs, with tackles. For me, just it's a challenge. He goes for the ball. You can see that. Obviously, when you slow things down on a camera, and this is what people don't understand when they're watching things on the VAR, is when you slow things down, it can always look maybe worse. There's no intent from Jay. He just goes to win the ball, and like I say, when you slow things down, they make things look a lot worse. But for me, now it's not a red card.
Tom, appreciate your time.
Cheers, thank you.
Thanks. And we'll be back with the post-game show right after the break from McDonald Jones Stadium, where we'll chat to the man of the match and both coaches. Don't go anywhere. Well, it was the night for the Newcastle Jets here at McDonald Jones Stadium. A 3-1 win over Brisbane Roar to close the gap back to the top 6. Apostolos Stamatolopoulos with another brace this season. 10 for the campaign. Reno Piscopo also excellent. And Aon Majok, he gets 1 point in the Alex Tobin medal race after an inspired performance coming off the bench at half-time. And we've got the Isuzu Ute player of the match, Apostolos Stamatolopoulos, who's come in for us. Apo, well, you're having a wonderful season so far. Just on your form, do you feel like you're playing the best football you have in your career?
Yeah. I mean, for starters, I'm playing. So for me, I've always known that I could do what I'm doing this season. It was just about getting the opportunity and playing. And when Rob called me, I've said it before, like, I wanted to come here. So I'm happy that I'm repaying his faith. So, yeah.
And what is it about the system that you're playing under Rob that's helping you perform as well as you have been this season?
It's just getting balls in the box. Like I've said it before, it's just me being in the box. It's just where I love to be, and I feel like that's where I'm at my best. So when the ball's getting put there, a lot of times I feel like I'm going to score. So, yeah.
Just a word on Nathan Grimaldi as well, starting debut today at the back. Just your thoughts on his performance and just what you've seen in him at training as well.
Yeah, Grimmers is a top professional for a young guy. I don't want to pump him up too much, but he's very, very good. I mean, he was solid as a rock today, and he's got the best attitude in the team and that I've seen. So every day, whether he's playing or not, this whole season, he's come in and he wants to be here. So I'm proud of him, and all the boys are proud of him. So, yeah, it's a big congratulations for him.
Just generally on the performance, how proud are you of that after what was a tough night on Friday against Sydney, and especially moving forward into this back end of the season?
I think we needed it, especially after 4-0 loss. It's good to get a win at home straight away. Forget about what happened in Sydney, and we look at what we did here. I think it was still a little bit shaky for the first 5 minutes of that second half, but we turned it around, and we knew that if we got a goal early, that it was going to be pretty much done. So, yeah.
Well, congratulations on another top performance, Apo, and the Isuzu Ute player of the match.
Cheers. Thank you.
There's Apostolos Stamatolopoulos. Let's get the Harvey Norman highlights now with Teo and Mossy.
Thank you, Ben. Yes, Mossy, let's go back to the first half. This is how Apostolos Stamatolopoulos opened the scoring.
Yeah, brilliant delivery from Grozos to his skipper, Stamatolopoulos, and he knew exactly what he had to do, Stamatolopoulos, once he'd timed his run to perfection, just get across the defender and guide it into the back of the net. And this was a brilliant goal here. Down the left-hand side, it was Moragas down the left-hand side with a well-weighted pass, and it was Stamatolopoulos, Johnny on the spot again to tap his side to a 2-0 lead.
Sorry, Mossy, you said during the call that Ben Kahn, one of the things he wanted to prevent was conceding on the counter. I imagine the video session will be a pretty tough watch for the Raw defence.
Yeah, it will be. There's no doubt about that. I mean, even there, Stamatolopoulos with a brilliant turn in midfield, but it was too easy to get away from his defender and then lay the ball into the path of Moragas. And that is not the finish of a left fullback. That is the finish of someone who is very comfortable in front of goal. Look at this. First touch, brilliant. Second touch, lifts it over the goalkeeper's hand. Knew exactly what he was doing, and he can check his pulse. He's alive, and it was definitely a goal.
And you know what? This game was still alive because Aon Majok scored his first A-League men's goal, and he did it very nicely.
Yeah, he was fantastic off the bench, and that's why I gave him a point in the player of the match rankings, and I thought he had a great impact. I mean, that's obviously an impact there with the goal, but he did a lot of good stuff in general play as well. He was always lively, always threatening, and he put the Newcastle defence in two minds. Natta will want to have a look at that again and dissect it, analyse it, and not do that again in defence.
What are the numbers? Tell us about this game other than the final score of 3-1.
Well, the expected goals is key there, 2.9 to Newcastle. I just thought they were positive. They certainly did nap a little bit, particularly early in the second half, and Brisbane could have got back into the game with 2 goals. They didn't. But really, I thought it was a really composed performance from Newcastle on the whole. More importantly, they showed real character to bounce back from what happened against Sydney FC last weekend.
Back down to the sideline, Ben Homer's got the winning coach.
Thanks, Taya. Yeah, I've got Rob Stanton here, very happy after that 3-1 win for Newcastle. Rob, you must be so proud of the bounce back from the defeat on Friday.
Yeah, I am. I think I look at that game, how we